Motivation. Motivation refers to the various physiological and psychological factors that cause us to act in a specific way at a particular time. In other words, why do we behave in a certain way at a certain time? There are three characteristics that demonstrate motivation. 1. Energize you to engage in an activity. 2. Direct your energies to achieve a specific goal. Number 3. You have an intensity of feeling about reaching that goal. Theories of motivation. First, fixed action pattern. Innate biological force that predisposes an organism to behave in a fixed way in the presence of a specific environmental condition. Number 2, brain. Reward or pleasure center includes several areas of the brain and involve several neurotransmitters, especially dopamine. Gene has been linked to several behaviors that trigger the brain's reward or pleasure center, including obesity, risk-taking, behaviors like gambling, nicotine addiction, and sexual activity. Number 3, incentive. Goals that can either be object or thought that we learn to value and that we are motivated to obtain. Incentive has two common features: can be thoughts or can be objects. Number 4, cognitive factor. Extrinsic motivation involves engaging in certain activities or behavior that either reduce biological or help us obtain incentive or external reward. Intrinsic motivation, engaging in certain activities or behavior because the behavior themselves are personally rewarding or because engaging in this activity fulfills our belief or expectation.
Emotion is often defined as a complex state of feelings that result in physical and psychological changes that influence thoughts and behavior. Qualities of emotion, which is first is a facial expression, which are recognized across age and culture. Second is voice, posture and gesture also indicate how people are feeling. Third is uncontrollable, which is you may not respond to the reason. Fourth is influence cognitive process, which is affect decisions, relationship and many more. Fourth is hardwired in the brain. It may be in genetics.
Interesting fact about emotions is not all emotions are visible. What about other obvious emotions we feel, such as guilt, shame, jealousy, and pride? While we genuinely feel these emotions, we do not tend to show clear and obvious expression. That is probably why so many people are able to hide these emotions from those around them. The emotion often do not show on their faces at all.
They have 8 basic emotions, emotive and emotions, which is anger, joy, sadness, surprise, fear, disgust, anticipation and trust. These interesting facts of 8 basic emotions comes from scientist named Robert Plutchik. He also created a wheel of emotion to illustrate these 8 emotions in a compelling way. It shows visually the dynamics of emotion, like what happened to an emotion when it left unchecked and when combined with 2 emotions. Example as anticipation and joy. Emotions also are natural. Some emotions are not naturally good and others bad. As example, joy seems to be a clear winner over sadness.
A recent study suggests a strong correlation between wearing clothes and emotion state. For example, it shows that women who are depressed or sad are most likely to wear baggy tops, sweatshirts and jeans, while women who had more positive emotions were likely to wear favorite dress and jewelry which looks more nicer.
Not to mention, study shows that men and women experience the same amount of emotions, but women tend to show it more.
Another interesting fact is that emotions are contagious. Unpleasant or negative emotions are more contagious than neutral or positive emotions.
An extrovert enthusiast is someone who hides the pain or sadness behind their smile. A closet maniac is someone who feels like shouting.
Here are some interesting facts about psychology. And the length of your tongue tells something about your sexual curiosity. If you could lick the elbow, and it means that you are more willing to open and trying to new experiences.
One of the issues that we found in ScienceDaily.com is that researchers found that parents who anger easily and overreact are more likely to have children who act out and become upset easily. Research shows that children with high level of negative emotionality during early years have more difficulty with emotion regulation and tend to exhibit more problem behavior when they grow up.
One of the issues that I get from psychology today is jealousy. Jealousy can be a major relationship problem. A survey of marital therapists reported that romantic jealousy was a serious problem for a third of their clients. I hope to dispel the myth that jealousy is a sign of love. But if it's not, then what really motivates jealous response? Research has linked several traits to greater jealousy is low self-esteem, neuroticism. Neuroticism is a general tendency to be moody, anxious, and emotionally unstable, feeling of insecurity and possessive. All of the factors that relate to jealousy are about insecurities of the jealous people, not about the love they have for their partner.
The issue that I have studied is depression, which is also related as panic attacks. So Paula had her first panic attack 6 months ago, and she was in her office preparing for an important work presentation when she felt an intense wave of fear. Then the room started spinning and she felt like she was going to throw up, and her whole body was shaking. She couldn't catch her breath and her heart was pounding out of her chest. She was gripped her desk until the episode passed, but it left her deeply shaken. And after 3 weeks later, and since then, they have been occurring with increasing frequency. She never knows when or where she will suffer an attack, but she's afraid of having on public. Consequently, she's also been staying home after work rather than going out with friends. She also refuses to ride the elevator up to 12th floor office out of fear of being trapped if she has a panic attack. Panic attack happening because what causes, certainly factors may play an important role, including genetics, major stress, or having a predisposition to stress. Panic attacks are typically experienced as result misinterpreting physical symptoms of anxiety. Thank you.
My view of psychology in motive and emotion is I get to know the definitions of motive and emotions. I also learn in understanding my own self and others' emotions and behavior. I get to knowing some words I never hear before, such as extradite, enthusiastic, and clausomania.
This particular topic changed my whole view of psychology, which is I realized that everything that human does actually has meaning and indicates something. For example, like in this particular topic, we learn about emotions and motivation. So I learned a lot that jealousy, guilt, shame, and everything does not show on faces, and we can actually hide that from those around us, which is why so many people are so good at hiding all this emotion, and some people are actually good at hiding happiness, anger, sadness, and stuff, because they have trained themselves for a long time, so they became adept to it. We also learned that motivation is actually the one that keeps us alive, to keeps us do something, keep on living, is motivation, because it's like when we wake up and we have to go to the work. The motivation is we have to earn money for us to enjoy life while we wake up every morning to go to work even though we don't like it.
My view on this topic is that I understand that different people has different way in expressing their emotions. After learning psychology, I can know that emotion help us to develop and survive as human throughout history. Facial expression plays an important role in responding accordingly to an emotion in physical sense.
What I get from this issue is you should realize that your partner's jealousy isn't about you, it's about them. Respond to expression of jealousy by reassuring your partner of your love. Research has shown that those who respond to partners' jealousy by reassuring them of their interests and attraction tend to have more stable relationships.
And emotions is an act and behave from a human being. So motivation is like energize and it achieving your goals and you motivating yourself, and you can control and without a judgment, while emotion is the feelings that emerge from motivate or drive itself, and it's such a feelings like aggressive, sadness, happiness, and fear, and so on.